Yeah, but no battery. Excellent, thank you. Hey, what's up everyone? I'm Sam from HiViz. Welcome to FDIC 2024. I'm pretty excited to talk to you guys about the FireTech Omen light bar and the HiViz Connect warning light system. We're gonna do a demo here in the booth, and I'll show you guys what makes this thing so unique. In order to talk about lighting, it helps to first understand a little bit about where we came from with lighting. So I'm gonna walk through a little bit of a history on the warning light bar and lighting tech, and then we'll talk about what makes this product so unique and so cool and why you guys should come check it out. So when you look at traditional warning light tech, the first warning lights started out as bubble lights. And the reason the bubble lights were shaped like they were was they were basically an 1156 or 1157 lamp that had a rotating mirror going around them. And there was a covered lens, as you look at the top, that covered it and changed it to be a certain color. So like if you had a red one or a blue one, that was the first warning lights for fire trucks. As tech evolved, people said, hey, we need more lighting. The lighting that we have isn't quite bright enough, we want more of it. So the first warning light bars were just a linear arrangement of multiple rotators on the roof of a fire truck. And they still had the covers that you'd see, just like the original bubbles. The covers became these elongated plastic covers that they shone light through to change the color of the light. As tech evolved, the first strobe packs were developed, and the strobe tubes also had covered plastic covers that changed the color of the lights. And then as LED technology came out, there were modules that you installed that were colored modules inside of the light fixtures, and those modules were still accessed underneath the covers of a light bar. So when you think about traditional tech, whether it's these style fixtures or it's the more modern style fixtures, light bars have always been developed with a cover on top of them to house electronics or serviceable components like light bulbs that may burn out or strobe packs that may need to be updated just as a part of the natural service life of the vehicle. As we were looking at the evolution of lighting technology though, we thought about, well, these are really great technologies. This isn't something to say, hey, manufacturers haven't done a great job. But we thought about, you know, the reason why there's a big plastic cover on a light bar and the reason why all these things have internals is really related to legacy technology, where modern technology doesn't really require serviceability. When you can eliminate the need for maintenance, you don't really need to have a cover. So as we thought about entering the lighting space, for years here at FDIC, people have asked us, hey, are you ever gonna get into the warning light game? And we said, well, until we have a competitive advantage worth sharing with you guys, it wasn't something we were interested in doing. But then I thought, well, what would Tesla do? If Tesla were getting into this space and they wanted to go down the track of developing a light bar, they totally revolutionized the automotive market when they begun doing the things they do in their vehicles. And when you think about it, you would think, well, it's probably the electric battery pack, oh, that's cool, or oh, the touchscreen, oh, that's cool. But that really wasn't the biggest revolutionary thing that Tesla did in the automotive market. When I thought about the lighting space and I was trying to understand what makes that tech unique, I actually thought I should probably experience it and fully understand what that technology did for the automotive space. So my wife, who's floating around down here somewhere, Kayoma, and I sold our personal vehicles, and we bought a 1949 Ford F1, and we bought a 2023 Tesla Model X. As we started driving these things to and from the house every other day, what we experienced was the difference isn't the powertrain, it isn't the cup holders, it isn't even the iPad on the dash that controls the vehicle. The difference in these two vehicles is really the software configuration that sits on top of the vehicle. And so I'll tell you a funny story. Around Thanksgiving time about a year ago, maybe a year and a half ago, we went down, my family's in Virginia, I'm in North Carolina, and we drove to Virginia for the Thanksgiving holiday. And I plugged the Tesla in when we got there, I connected it to Wi-Fi, we went inside. At the end of that Thanksgiving holiday, I noticed that there had been a software update downloaded on the car. On the way home, I put the vehicle in drive, hit the cruise control, and the car drove me home. The same car I drove to the Thanksgiving festival with my family now had a new software update that enabled a multitude of features, camera systems, sensors, all that sort of stuff, in the same hardware, but software changed and all those features were enabled. So as I began thinking about how do we address the warning light market and what can we do that would make the warning light market really unique, it's hardware now, software over and over again. Kind of like the Tesla, bake all the hardware together, give it every communication protocol, every sensor, every input and output, all the type of stuff you might need in a future environment, especially when fire trucks are taking 3 to 5 years to manufacture. We wanted to bake everything into the hardware now so that we can increase the functionality of the product over time with software updates. And so the FireTech Omen light bar is the culmination of that research into what it's like to have hardware now, software over and over again. But if we go all the way back to the beginning where I talk about the shape of the light bar never changing, I thought the core element that we need to make sure we get right though is still the hardware. We actually had a problem with that Tesla with the doors would get stuck up. And I went to the Tesla dealer, I'm like, guys, I can't drive the car home if the doors are stuck up. And they're like, well, we're a tech company, not a car company. I'm like, well, yeah, but I still bought a car. I gotta be able to drive this thing. So in addition to having really cool software and all these other great features, this is still a warning light bar and it's still a fire truck, and you better be able to beat it as hard as you can and not have a problem with it. And it still better work in your fire truck every single time. So that starts with a really good hardware design. And the problem with legacy light bars is those covers allow water inside. And when you have a bucket and it's got a bottom, it can allow for accumulation of water. And when you have a light bar and it's got covers and it's got a bottom, it can now allow for accumulation of water. And that's typically what causes light bars to fail. Whether you have a lens that gets cracked or you have a gasket that comes apart, the light bars with covers are problematic, in my opinion anyway, in modern technology. So we started with an aluminum extruded subframe. This extruded subframe then allows us to attach modules to the fixture. And so when you look at this design, by incorporating a modern modular design, we have 12-inch modules and we have side modules. These modules have every color and every component built in, but there's not a central brain in the light bar that's controlling everything. It's all a common rail. It's bus power and bus data. These are the two modules here, the 12-inch and the side module. And then when we put them on the extruded track, what you'll see is there is no middle. It's like a bucket without a bottom. It's basically a big donut, and there's nowhere for water to accumulate. So if you're trying to put a light bar on a fire truck that's gonna last for 25 years, it really helps that you build it in a way that there's nowhere for water to get inside. And if you do have a problem with the module, all you've gotta do is just slide the module off the track, slide a new module on, it reprograms itself, and you're back in service. So as you look at that hardware design, and then you start coupling the software design on top of it, when you have every module have every color, one of the things that happens during the apparatus spec phase, typically you would say, I want a light bar, I want red here, blue here, I want these configurations, and so each light bar has its own special configuration, special part number. But when you look at the FireTech Omen, because every module is every color, it's a single part number per size. So for a 72-inch light bar, a 72-inch light bar is a 72-inch light bar. If you want a red one, you want a blue one, Henry Ford said it best, you can have any color you want as long as it's black. We think the same thing, the housings are always black. The interior is red, green, blue, amber, and white every single time. Now when we talk about the software side, you take that hardware and you add software on top. This is where HVC, High-Vis Connect, comes from. The High-Vis Connect protocol enables all of these great features that live on the hardware. And this is kind of that philosophy of what self-driving things can we add to our light bar. The first thing is flash patterns. Flash patterns are probably what most customers get most excited about. And we treat flash patterns kind of like bars of music. If you've got single flash, double flash, triple flash, you can line these things up side by side and change parameters like speed is analogous to tempo. You can change volume, you can change the intensity. There are a lot of similarities between flash patterns and music. And so we've created a system that allows you to set whatever flash pattern, whatever speed, whatever configuration, whatever color you want. And it's all based on these 6 really simple core building block modules. When you then begin to layer that technology and you look at what you can do with the fixture, when you have a fixture that has the smart tech on board and you have every color, you can do things like, you can be a standard fire truck responding to an emergency scene. Oops, I'm turning this thing on. Now we're responding to an emergency scene. When I get on scene, I can say, hey, I'm the incident commander. I can turn the entire top of the truck green and say, hey, I'm in charge or whatever. You can also do some stuff where you have some really intelligent modes, responding during the day, responding at night, on scene during the day, on scene at night. I'll show you what these look like. Here's an on scene during the day. Here's on scene at night, or sorry, responding during the day, responding at night. You'll see the intensity changes. You can see parked. This is parked during the day. We've got a very different flash pattern, a nice soft flash in the middle, and then a nice hard flashes on the outside. And then you put that at night. Now we get the soft flashes on the outside, we get the soft flashes on the inside, and it's a low intensity. This whole system is all designed around this same modular infrastructure, but it allows you to call for some cool functions. When you then layer the next layer on top, imagine that you put your pump in gear, you're responding, you get your pump on gear, you're no longer worried about clearing traffic once you've put your pump in gear. You could do something like display a water level indicator. If you've got every color in every module, pump's engaged, now you're showing how much water's in the tank. Before I go inside a house in a rural fire department, sometimes it helps to look back and say, yeah, pump's in gear, I do have water, I'm ready to go. You can do that with an 80-inch light bar, a 72-inch light bar on the front of your fire truck. It's a great thing for folks that really need that visibility. There's some other cool features like multi-vehicle synchronization. We have something called follow-friendly lighting, where when you have a truck in the front, you have a truck in the back of the front truck and the front of the back truck will dim each other down to make the vehicles easier to follow. If you have a grouping of 3 or more vehicles, the back of the front truck, the front and back of the middle truck, and the front of the rear truck will all dim down to allow that pack to follow each other, follow friendly through traffic, because it's always better when you have emergency vehicles to keep them tight so you don't get traffic between them, but it's hard to see when you're doing that. And so part of our multi-vehicle synchronization is follow-friendly lighting. The other thing that's really cool, when you think about active load management, if you guys have ever been on a fire truck, you've had the air conditioner on you're on a night call, air conditioner's on, maybe the pump is in gear or it's just idling, you don't have the high idle set. At some point, you'll starve the electrical system and it'll cut loads off. It may cut the lights off first because that's usually a pretty big load. The problem is if you're doing something important, you don't want to be working in the dark. So we developed a system that senses the voltage on the fire truck and watches the voltage all the time. So if the voltage starts to drop and the alternator can't keep up the electrical system, it'll back the power off of the scene lights and the warning lights down to the NFPA minimums to make sure that your lighting system never gets turned off. Once the voltage stabilizes, or the air conditioner shuts off, whatever the other loads on the truck are shut off, and it starts to return, it will then match the increase in light output to match the capacity of the alternator, so you're never working in the dark. That's probably the most important thing I think of when I'm on a fire scene, is I need to be able to see. Active load management allows you to be able to do that. The other thing that's cool is we have light sensors on the light bar that can sense whether it's day or night. We're also listening to GPS for time signature, and we can also listen to the truck to decide whether it's day or night time. With automatic system-wide night modes, we can turn the whole system into a low intensity or change the flash pattern based on ambient time of day and give you really intelligent night modes. The last thing that's worth talking about is integrated digital alerting. If you haven't seen the guys over at Haas Alert are right over here. They're one of our partners in integrations. That allows us to communicate with automobiles all over the country. If you're driving down the roadway and you want to let someone know, hey, I'm an emergency vehicle and I'm responding or on scene, we can transmit digital alerts right in the mapping apps, right in the in-dash of a bunch of automotive manufacturers. And you can also do some cool stuff with like traffic signal preemption through our Haas Alert Safety Cloud integration. Now, the last thing I'm going to touch on before I hop off the roof is the HiViz Connect Guardian. That's the fixtures on the side of the truck. I'm going to show you one of the coolest features is there's something called side firing LEDs. And I'm going to illustrate this real quick. When I turn the eMaster on, you'll see the light fixture is shining light straight out on either side. And when I press the parked button, this is basically like I'm putting the truck in park, there are side firing LEDs that shoot at each side of the fixture. And what this does is this increases the conspicuity of the vehicle and lights the body sheets. When you think about the reason why it's difficult to look at a truck that's got really high intensity lights at night is because you have a high intensity point source next to darkness. But when you have a fixture like this that has side firing LEDs, you can increase the conspicuity by having a graduation of light from a high intensity point source gradually down the body to an infinite area of darkness. So you expand that light output so it's much broader than just a high intensity point source. So then you may not have to drop the intensity down at night. You can keep your intensity high, but you can make it more gradual so that it's easier to look at. Especially in rural environments, I find that that's a little bit more comfortable. Of course, you can dim it as well. There's also Bluetooth chips on board. We can do some really cool wireless functionality on the fixtures. A lot of that's going to be enabled in the first software update. And the last thing I'm going to talk about is our housing. Every warning light in the space today basically starts on a piece of sheet metal, and that sheet metal has holes to mount to the body. All the LEDs get attached to the front of it, and the optics sit on top of it. When you think about it, the heat sink on a fixture does one thing, it gets rid of the heat. It also gives the fixture its structural rigidity. And when we think about these light fixtures, temperature is the #1 killer and moisture is #2. A fixture that doesn't have a lot of rigidity is more likely to get moisture in it, and a fixture without a heat sink is more likely to overheat. So we use this extremely durable, very large heat sink on every one of our fixtures, warning lights and scene lights. And they're so durable, you can literally hang this truck from the bottom of them. So I'm gonna click this thing on, I'm gonna give you guys a quick video demo, and you'll see just how durable these things are. For HiViz Lighting and the FireTech Parade, I'm Sam. Thank you so much. Yeah, good. Thank you.
No problem with two lights. We're going to try it with one.
Good. Yeah, I'll stand here.
Dude, that is crazy. I honestly did not expect it to happen.
Yeah, I can do that.
This. Kind of like. Now we called our friends from Carolina Dome to kick this thing out from the back of the heavy rotator.
Hey there, how are you?
Good.
Good to see you.
Good.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yes, sir. You been well?
Doing good, doing good.
That's great.
Stopped by earlier, got the whole deal
That's
on
awesome.
your lights. Pretty cool.
That's great.
One of our other guys, Casey, is down here too. He's all excited about it, so we're going to see what we can do.
That's awesome. That's good. Well, excellent. How's things in Zionsville? Everyone busy, doing well, healthy, happy?
So far, yeah, we're all healthy, so